Guys, in this video you will learn about management of Backendless Cache and atomic counters, which is a feature we added in Backendless version 5. If you're not familiar with the concepts of counters and cache in Backendless, I'm going to provide a quick overview followed by a demo of the new management capability. Let's start with atomic counters first. What is a counter? First of all, it is a variable maintained by the server. A counter has a logical name, which is how your apps can access and modify its value using the APIs we provide. These APIs support the operations of incrementing or decrementing the counter value. Now let's review Backendless Cache. Backendless Cache is a server-side in-memory data storage. Every cache entry is a key-value pair, where the key is a string and the value can be a primitive or a complex data structure. Your app can use the APIs to put data into cache or retrieve it from the cache. The caching mechanism is cross-platform. That means Backendless automatically takes care of adapting data between different client types. For instance, an Android client can put into cache an instance of a Java object, while an iOS client can retrieve that object as an instance of a corresponding Objective-C or Swift class. Now that we reviewed counters and cache, let's see how they can be managed in Backendless 5 and above. The management interface for counters and cache in Backendless console is available on the data screen. Let's go there. And in the System Data section, you will see two new entries. One of them says Backendless Cache, which is the UI for managing your cache entries. And the other one is Backendless Counters, which displays all the counters that are currently active in your application. You'll also see the actual number of cache entries and the number of counters. Since this is a brand new application, I don't have anything in cache and I don't have any counters. So now I will create some logic and some code to actually populate cache and counters, and then I will show you how they can be managed in the UI. Let's start with Backendless Counters. To create the counters, I'm going to use the codeless business logic because it's very easy to create that logic, and you will also get a chance to see how that would work. So let's navigate to business logic, and in here I will switch to timers, and we'll create a new timer using codeless, and the name of my timer is going to be counter maker. I will have it running every 5 seconds. So now the timer is created. Let's go to the logic designer, and here every 5 seconds the following logic will run. So we will be incrementing a counter. Let's call this counter demo counter, and it will be incremented by 5 every time it runs. We could also create another counter. And let's call this even numbers counter. And since this is even numbers, we'll be incrementing it by 2. Let's deploy this model. So now every 5 seconds this timer will run, and it will be incrementing these 2 counters. So let's go back to the data section. So now, as you can see, there are now 2 counters. And as you can see, the name of the counter and then the current value. So every 5 seconds the timer wakes up, modifies the value. So if we refresh, now you can see that the demo counter is 10 and this one is 4, and it will continue happening. I can also modify this value directly from the console. So for instance, if I set this one to 22 and update the value, next time the timer wakes up, it will increment the current value then. So if we refresh, now you can see it is 27. You can easily delete a counter, so just click delete. But since the timer wakes up and runs its logic, that timer will be created again, starting with the new value. A very easy to use interface. You can create a new counter actually here. So let's call it counter from console and assign a value 22. So Now there is a counter that is created directly from console, and that counter can be used from your application using the APIs that Backendless supports. That's it for the counters, and now let's review Backendless Cache. I'm switching to the Backendless Cache interface. There are three properties in the interface: expire at, key, and value. The key and value, we talked about it earlier in this video. The expire at is a timestamp when that key value pair expires from the memory, and Backendless removes this key value pair from cache. There is a separate API call to extend the life of it if needed. I don't have anything in cache, and to populate the cache storage with some data, I'm going to use the codeless again, and let's switch to the business logic section. And I will create an API service this time, which will have two operations: one to put something into cache, and the other one to retrieve a value from cache. Let's select codeless and call this cache service. One of the methods is going to be called put into cache. The rest operation is going to be put. And there will be two parameters: key, which is a string, and the other one is going to be called value, which is going to be any object. So here it is. Here's the put into cache method. Let's do the implementation, which is going to be very, very easy with codeless. There is a block for putting data into cache. The key name is going to be the key argument, and the value goes right here. That's it, and we're going to deploy this so this method becomes operational. It is now available, and let's add the second method. We will call it get from cache. There's going to be only one parameter, key, which is a string, and let's implement this method as well. By the way, I could have just created an app in Android and iOS and JavaScript that would have used the same APIs, but since everything is right here in the console, this makes it, I believe, this makes it a better demo. So get data from cache is going to be the implementation of this block, and we will use this key as the argument. Deploy. So now that service is ready. So here in the service we have put into cache method that can be invoked right from here, and then get from cache. So let's put something into cache. Let's make the key, it's going to be foo, and the value is going to be the string bar. So now it is invoked, and let's head back to the data section. And now, as you can see in the Backendless Cache, there is an entry foo and bar. And let's modify bar to be a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's go back to the business logic and invoke this get from cache for the key foo. And as you can see, it returns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is the value that we put right into the cache using console. Also, let's create a new cache entry, and let's say the key is going to be name, and the value is going to be Joe. Now it is in here. By the way, all the entries are going to be sorted by the expire at column here, and let's see if we can retrieve name Joe from cache using business logic. Get from cache, the key is called name, invoke, and we get Joe back. Very easy to use interface, I believe, that gives you an ability to modify your values, create new ones, delete. If you select one or multiple, you can delete them from cache, and this should make your life much easier if your application uses Backendless Cache or Backendless Counters. That's all I have for you today. Hopefully you found it useful, and stay tuned for more videos. And as always, happy coding!